So, new lawsuit claims that Diddy drugged and assaulted her and got her pregnant. Diddy's facing a new lawsuit filed by a woman, and there's going to be a lot of civil suits popping out while we wait for trial. Let's say if he's found guilty or he does do a plea deal, the civil suits are going to increase even more than that. Diddy is facing a new lawsuit filed by a woman who claims the rap mogul drugged and assaulted her and continues to menace and intimidate her and impregnated her. TMZ obtained documents by Jane Doe claiming that Diddy repeatedly assaulted her over a 4-year period and says one of the encounters even resulted in her being pregnant, but she ended up suffering a miscarriage. The anonymous woman, represented by attorney Joseph, claims she first met Diddy overseas in the fall of 2020 and was invited to join the rapper on an all-expenses-paid trip. See, him settling with Cassie very quickly like that, now people are going to be putting frivolous lawsuits all willy-nilly. But the problem is that because he settled with Cassie, any of the lawsuits or civil suits that we normally would be like, I don't believe it, it's very much possible. The woman says that she saw Diddy regularly between 2021 and 2022, with the rapper and his team arranging for her to meet up with him at his homes in LA, New York, Miami, and other various locations. However, she claims she did not travel at her own volition, claiming Diddy and his staff would use coercive and harassing language to make her agree, which is human trafficking. The problem is that the lifestyle of quote unquote being flued out that people pedestalize and promote on IG, make it seem like it's cool. A lot of that could be human trafficking. If she has any proof of this could be used in his trial to corroborate the fact that he was allegedly human trafficking people. Can you imagine all the women who were flued out? Everyone knows they were flued out, but then they are saying that they were flued out using coercive and harassing language. Ladies and gentlemen, what this really highlights is the fact that stuff that is promoted to you as cool and hip and securing the bag, chasing the bag, could actually be human trafficking. I'm not going to say that it's going to stop, because people are always going to want to get flued out to get money, make ends meet, and to come up and all that. But just the fact that this situation of what we've normalized as being flued out could be considered human trafficking is not only damning to Diddy, but probably other people in the industry who have been doing it for years and decades, thinking that this is the cool thing to do, safe thing to do. It's consenting by two adults. Let them come up and say, well, this was coercive and harassing, and that's the reason why I did it. Coercive is a form of SA. She says drivers would show up at her home to take her to Diddy, which left her feeling like she didn't have a choice in the matter. Wow. The woman alleges Diddy also used spiked alcoholic beverages as a way to force her to do his bidding, saying Diddy forced her to have intercourse in April 2022 while she was at his LA home. And Diddy's even went on Conan O'Brien and other talk shows and bragged about how to keep women there by making the room hot, having everybody get a bunch of drinks. There's been a lot of reports of people not being allowed to come into a place without putting something in their mouth as far as a pill and drinking something to have a vibe. And then when you're there, things happen. Can't consent to it if you're under the influence. And then he recorded it. This is a horrible situation. And this happens all the time in the entertainment industry, that these gatekeepers will somewhat hold something over your head. And if you don't get down with the get down, they ruin your career. She claims to have sustained physical injuries from her encounters with Diddy, including one during a spring 2022 visit where she says she was left with purple bruises and a bite mark on her feet. She says she does not remember how she got the injuries. The woman also accuses Diddy of forcing her to take ketamine and other drugs in July 2022, which resulted in her blacking out. It was after that alleged incident that she says she got pregnant. So can you imagine all of the women that this type of stuff happened to? And they're all wanting money as a way of restitution. They probably were thinking that I'll never get restitution and I'll have to just move on with my life. Now the feds have opened the door to any and everyone who wants to come and talk and be a witness to the stuff that Diddy's charged with. They could go be a witness, and then what is said while being a witness, they could turn around and file a civil lawsuit and actually be able to get money. I wouldn't be surprised if this doesn't turn into a class action lawsuit. Yeah, it may turn into a class action lawsuit. You may see a advertisement on the internet. If you were involved with Diddy between this point in time and this point in time, contact us to get restitution to get a check. She says she tried to get space from Diddy after the miscarriage, but Diddy would allegedly harass her with calls and text messages until she agreed to see him. So those calls and text messages can easily be retrieved by cell phone companies, especially text messages, which she claims continued throughout July 2024. So she's already established a timeline here between spring 2022, so you could say January 2022 to July 2024, getting text messages between his number and herself. I don't know how many calls and text messages they were, but all they need is just enough to corroborate what she's saying. And she definitely has a case here. She could definitely be a witness, and more people are coming through. And there's also rumors that Diddy was involved with underage teddy bears, which is how they got R. Kelly. It's one thing to deal with women where it's a he say, she say, but once you start incorporating underage teddy bears who cannot consent, it's a wrap. The woman says she feared for her safety during this time, having witnessed Diddy slap and abuse other women. She also alleges he'd found some way to track her location and monitor her conversations. She claims Diddy continues to contact her to this day, attempting to control her and intimidate her. The woman says she suffered trauma, financial injury, and physical injury, and is seeking an unspecified amount of damages. Jane Doe, you have no way of knowing who she is. There's going to be a lot of Jane Does coming out with different claims. And the Cassie settlement opened the door wide open. The federal indictment of Diddy, the trafficking and all that, has further opened the door. This is an unwinnable situation, despite his lawyer saying that it's possible for Diddy to come out unscathed, which we know is a lie. Attorney Tony Busby of Houston is representing 50 alleged victims who say they've faced assault and abuse from Diddy and his associates. And they're predicting the group will keep growing as the case progresses. Don't be surprised if it's like 1,000 people. So many people who went to these freak-off parties or had a one-on-one with Diddy or an interaction with people who were involved with Diddy somehow, and they did it because they wanted a career, they wanted to be provided for, and they didn't have a choice, and they were quote-unquote coerced. Attorney Tony Busby made some serious allegations on his firm's IG, saying the group of men and women who came forward have gut-wrenching stories about what went down at Diddy's alleged freak-off parties. He detailed the alleged mind-boggling violations against them as debauchery and depravity exacted by powerful people. Busby claimed some of the accusers were minors when the alleged incidents occurred, and mentioned plans for a press conference where individuals can share their stories. While he has not filed, Busby says he intends to file the class action lawsuit. I called it on behalf of all the victims early next week. I called it. Didn't even read the story, and I already knew. I was like, all these people coming forward, same story. They're going to do a class action lawsuit. To be clear, there's no known evidence supporting Busby's allegation. Some of the victims were minors, nor have any previous lawsuits or even the federal indictment alleged that. The alleged freak-off parties are at the heart of the federal indictment for trafficking, kidnapping, and racketeering. Despite the downfall of Diddy, the indictment that's on Tubi, in my opinion, this is an unwinnable case. He should take the plea deal. He doesn't want to. He wants to have his day in court. I agree with a lot of lawyers who have said that it's best for him not to take the stand, because if he gets frustrated or gets flustered, or he says something that's taken out of context, he could easily be found guilty, and it's probably best for him to not testify. Now, I personally, as a regular person on the street, I would want to hear Diddy's side of the story, but with this preponderance of information and evidence that's coming out, I don't think anything that he can say will change my view of him going forward. So what do you think? Let me know in the comment section your thoughts. Thumbs up the video, share your social media, subscribe, click the notification bell, go forth, do great things, and I'm out. Peace.
Spade, Parkland.
Use my Cash App card when I cash her out. Shoot her 250 on the Cash App, then I ask her out.
Cash App, what's your Cash App? Cash App, what's your Cash App?
Get on your cash.
Cash App $
Spade.
Parkland.
We're going to start getting some work done, family. So please get them donations in. Get them in. $
Spade.
Parkland.